Hi, I'm Laura Link, founder of Link Private Tutoring. I'm also a classroom teacher, and I made this to share with parents what our summer course is going to be like. So, first, a little bit about why I created this summer course. As a classroom teacher and as an ACT prep teacher and tutor, I have found that unfortunately, this past year has had an impact on students. We all know it. It's had an impact on their learning. And there are some basics that they simply missed out on. So, as a teacher and an ACT prep tutor, I created this Goal 20 summer course because I have been tutoring students throughout the past months who are struggling to get a 20 because they missed some basic concepts. So, I wanted to do this to show you some of the exactly everything that the class is going to is going to be. So this is for students who need to get their first step of a goal of 20. So this would apply both to the older students who are struggling. They've taken the ACT before and they have not hit their 20. And it's also for rising freshmen, rising sophomores who may or may not have taken the pre-ACT this year, but they need the basics. They need a foundation, not only on what to expect on the ACT test, but, and here's the beauty of this course, this is a refresher on the basic college and career readiness skills that they should have learned in high school. So the ones that are tested on the ACT that can get you to a goal of 20. So it is the basics that we're talking about. This course does ask of you quite a bit of time. It asks your children to come to class via Zoom 2 hours a day, 2 days a week, every day during summer vacation. June 7th through July 29th, Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 till 11, except for the week of June 14th. That's 28 course hours and pre and post testing, which I'm asking them to do on their own time, and we set them up with the system to have that. So this summer course, the first thing that they're going to do is they are going to take an online test. So we've got a baseline for them. And each section of the test, English, math, reading, and science, are going to take up 7 hours of the course. So I just wanted you to have an idea, and I'm not going to read through all of this, but I'm going to put it up on the screen so you can see. On our first day, it'll be a welcome to the course, as well as jumping right in to the basics of English. We always go over the test mechanics, an overview, the anatomy, what does the test look like, the pacing on the test, and strategies for specific item types. On English, we've got some preliminaries that I feel like students need, parts of speech, parts of a sentence, subjects and verbs, because many questions tie into being able to identify the subject of a sentence and the verb of the sentence. So our first lesson, in fact, is verbs, and you'll see all of these things, the principal parts of verbs, subject-verb agreement, sequence and verbs. And then the next hour is pronouns, adverbs, and adjectives. And we go through all the specific rules that students need to know, not just for the ACT, but for school. And all of these skills are then tested with ACT type items that they actually practice with the book that you will be getting as part of the course fee. We go on to conjunctive adverbs, moving sentences, word choice, redundancy, sentence structure, and punctuating clauses, which, as you can see from these items, are all things that students need beyond the ACT or the SAT test. We spend an entire day on commas and semicolons. We talk about colons and apostrophes, but most of it is commas and semicolons because there were a lot of questions on that, and students really need to know what to do there. Then we move on to math. And on math, we're going to talk about item types as well and how to deal with them, the anatomy of the test. And we're going to go into basic manipulations, probability, number concepts, algebraic expressions, graphical representations. The reason this is 30 minutes each. So we're still spending a good amount of time on these, but it's because I'm trying to get the student to a 20. The advanced class will move them up and we'll go into these in a lot more detail. And perhaps if you've got a freshman or a sophomore, they take the basic class this summer and then they take the advanced class next summer. And they would use the same books. They can hold on to those books. It's got all the material in it. Then after math, we move on to reading. Again, we go over the mechanics, the overview, the anatomy. We're going to talk about reading strategies, focusing on compare and contrast, cause and effect, sequence of events, relationships. Then we're going to get into specific item types, main idea, specific detail, which are kind of like the flip side of each other. Vocabulary questions, how to handle those, how to handle and recognize and handle inference questions, author's tone and purpose questions. The ACT has one paired passage, so we're going to spend a little bit of time on that. And then because the reading and the science don't have as many rules to know, we spend a lot more time on English and math on specific rules and content. On reading and science, we talk a lot about strategy. So I've been able to build in time to practice with the real ACT passage and really go deeply over how to make the right choices. And then on our last reading day, we're going to do a complete timed reading test, 35 minutes timed, and then we're going to discuss key questions there and score growth and what their next steps are on reading. Then we move into science. But right before we jump into the science, they're going to take their second full-length timed and scored practice test. And then we're going to get into all the overview and mechanics of the science test. We're going to go into the item types that you're going to see on the science test, how they're worded, facts about the science test, and your general strategies. Then we're going to jump into each passage type. There's 3 passage types for science: data representation. And we go into, because this is a basics class, how to read charts and graphs, something that students may not be taught explicitly in their science classes. It really depends on their teacher and how deeply they get into this. So I do take the time to teach them how to read the tables and the charts and graphs. And then we go into the research summary, which is another item, a passage type in which an experiment is written up and the data from the experiment is in tables, charts, and graphs. And students have to predict results, evaluate data, and we're going to learn how to do that. And then the final passage type, and there's only one passage of this type, is conflicting viewpoints. It's all reading, so there's a whole different strategy for this particular passage type. So we talk about that. Students get practice with those, with items. Through all of this, in each of these, there's actual practice that they're going to do. They're going to share their answers. We're going to talk it through. Students will definitely have an opportunity to engage, and I'll be able to help with their thinking and their thinking process. And then on the last day, we finish up with another timed, just the science section, and we go over that and score it. And then the course wrap up, we'll talk about the next steps and their study plan, because even an intense class like this that takes this much time is not all they need. They still need to be practicing. So they will also take their final full-length practice test after the course. And then you will get a score report, an email from me with a complete evaluation and reminders of next steps of what to do next. So that's just a quick overview of our course that's coming up June 7th. The whole entire course is $1,000, and that includes all the materials which students can use above and beyond the class. So please send me a message, call me at 985-260-2620, email me at laura@linkprivatetutoring.com, or send me a Facebook or an Instagram message and get back with me, and I'll talk about the next steps about registering your child for this wonderful class that is really going to help them get college ready. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.